मिटे लेत राम नाम, पाप कटे दुख मिटे लेत राम नाम, भव समुद्र सुखद नाम एक राम नाम, भव समुद्र सुखद नाम एक राम नाम, श्री राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम, श्री राम राम। आधार को आधार एक राम नाम, श्री राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम। प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम। परम गोप्य परम इष्ट मंत्र राम नाम, परम गोप्य परम इष्ट मंत्र राम नाम, संत हृदय सदा बसत एक राम नाम, संत हृदय सदा बसत एक राम नाम, श्री राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम। प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम। महादेव सतत जपत दिव्य राम नाम, महादेव सतत जपत दिव्य राम। ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। So we have been studying about the passive and the aggressive, and we studied about the joy of learning. Okay, so why is it that we don't take to knowledge? Is because we do not associate any kind of pleasure with it. But the moment we understand how joyful, how pleasurable, how incredibly useful it is, This is the one thing we will not give up. Today we say, oh, I can't get up, oh, I don't have time, oh, so many, all these excuses only tells us that we haven't still understood what that is. You haven't understood it means you can't enjoy it. You can only enjoy things you understand. Suppose you were listening to a lecture in Russian, would you enjoy it? You wouldn't, unless you knew Russian. So, haven't got it yet. And since you haven't got it, there is no pleasure in it, so you won't do it. So, it's sort of a vicious cycle. Okay? Because you say, oh no, it's too boring. I can't do it on my own. I find it so difficult to reflect. There's so many things you can say. The real reason is I haven't understood it, so I haven't gained yet the knowledge from it. So we can only keep working. What else can we do until we get to that point where we do understand it? It's like a small child, small boys, they say, yuck, I don't like girls. They haven't understood it. When they understand it, they not talk like that anymore. Just like that. Okay, so that's it. Who will read the next paragraph? What happened? You all are so reticent to read. What is the matter?
Can I read?
Yes, please do.
People carry the general impression that Vedanta is abstract, terse, inaccessible, not meant for the common people, and that only those who are brilliant should attempt to approach it. This is not true. The misconception arose because the subject matter of Vedanta has to be learned and practiced like any technique, skill, or art. And the process of learning takes a while for the learner to relish it. The initial period of learning is trying. It puts off even some sincere seekers. Ironically, it is a knowledge which is most fascinating. The study of Vedanta in the early hours of the morning becomes most inspiring and enchanting experience day after day. So, yes, Swamiji is saying people carry the impression that Vedanta is not for the common people. It is for the brilliance only, and it needs practice and reflection and effort. So it's not, and it is to be studied in the early hours of morning.
Yeah. So first point is that people think it's not for us. Because, Vedanta is only for these very brilliant people, only for philosophers, only for, I don't know what, sages and saints. So that's the first problem. Now, why do they think so? They think so because the subject matter of Vedanta, as of anything, requires some effort to learn it. Initial effort. Even if you go to play cricket first day, you're not going to enjoy it. You go playing badminton first day, you won't enjoy it. You play cards the first day, you won't enjoy it. Why? Because still don't know how to do this thing. So it's struggle, it's painful. Like, chodo yaar, kaun karega? First chapati you made, you certainly did not enjoy it. You did not enjoy cooking because you didn't know it. So the process of learning takes some time. But if you go through that process, then there's great joy in it. Just like in exercise, when you start exercising, you go for a walk. The first day you go for a walk, or the first day you go for a run. Like, oh gosh, this is so horrible. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And slowly you start doing it, and then the joy starts unfolding. It's the same thing. It's there in all things. Wherever you need to apply, wherever you need to sort of put in effort in the initial stage, we tend not to do those things. Even when you save money, there's an effort, right? There's no effort in spending it, but there's an effort in saving it. So you choose not to save it. So across the board, it is in all things. There's that initial effort to get to learn that thing. Imagine if you learn to play a violin. Not only you won't enjoy it, nobody listening to you will enjoy it, and you will say, yuck, what a horrible instrument this is. And that same instrument one day will have the most beautiful sounds coming out of it. The most beautiful music will flow out of that violin. But you have to learn it. You have to practice it. You have to do it, right? So similarly in Vedanta, there's an initial effort that's involved. And once we take up that effort, then we find easily the great joy, the great inspiration that it provides for us. And the amazing thing about that is that joy is, can you tell me? That joy is
Sattva.
Permanent.
okay, that is true.
Permanent. Permanent.
Okay, that is also true. But it is as enchanting day after day. That's what he's saying. Day after day, that same enchantment. Which other thing is like that? Imagine you saw a movie every day. Is it the same enchantment? If you talk to your friends or you're with your spouse or whatever, is it the same enchantment? Vedanta has the same enchantment day after day. You're as inspired and as joyful with it. In fact, if anything, more so. So much joy, which is in your hands, which you will not take. And why won't we all take it?
Effort in the beginning.
Effort in the beginning. The effort in the beginning. One don't want it because there's effort to reach that stage. What do we want? We want something that give us quick joy. Chalo, jaldi se mujhe khush kar do. No real joy comes like that. It's something that we have to grow up to understand. Okay, so who will read the next paragraph?
I will read that.
Please do.
The knowledge of Vedanta is best grasped between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. If impractical, you may choose a time to as close to it as possible. The knowledge has to be taken in regulated doses. Approach it as you would any scientific knowledge. Study and reflect daily upon the truths therein. Do not proceed further until you have observed the portion already covered. Thus, through systematic study and reflection, you gain the light of wisdom, a light that will guide you towards spiritual enlightenment. Now, here the speaker is trying to say how you can get the joy of learning and how you can enjoy the light of wisdom. So, mainly by studying early in the mornings between 4 to 6. If it is not practical, as you always tell the class, any time that is suitable before 6. And this knowledge also not like completely, as you say, 20% reading, 80% reflection. So that's how we need to be in a regulated doses. And again, after that, we need to reflect and live that knowledge.
Yes. Make sure you've understood something before moving on. Not just, we want to just say, okay, I did chapter 9, now I want to do chapter 10, now I want to do chapter 13. We go like that, as if we are trying to conquer something outside. We're not conquering anything outside. We're not collecting degrees here. We are trying to focus and focus our attention on one thing and understand it. As much as we will understand it then. When you come back to it later, again you will understand some more. But at least as much as you can understand it now. And slowly as you do that, you get two benefits. Not only that you enjoy every bit of it as you do it. What is the second benefit? As you do it, you will enjoy it naturally because that joy from it will unfold itself. But what else are you getting?
Towards spiritual enlightenment.
Imagine,
Wisdom.
have you got any other thing in this world that gives you so much joy when you do it and actually helps you go towards God? Now, I can't imagine, like, what's a better deal you're getting from where? You'll enjoy this. You have so much fun while you do it. love it so much, you have so much fun while you do it, and while you're doing it, you're benefiting your life. You're going towards enlightenment. So what else? What else do you want? It's like, what's not to do? Who would not want that? Do you realize currently that all our enjoyments are things that keep us from doing sensible things? Have you realized that? If you want to see a movie, it's keeping you from doing something else. If you want to go on a vacation, it's keeping you from doing your, running your business and making it grow. Like every other joy, is actually keeping you from something. This joy is getting you everything, isn't it? What's not to get in this? What's not to do? Then why do we not do it?
Effort.
Initial effort, yes. Initial effort. You don't want to do that little bump. That initial effort is killing everything. We won't focus, it's an amazing thing. Can't focus at all. The effort in focusing on what you're doing is like almost like what? I don't know what. If you're talking about X, they'll ask you about Y. You say, okay, chalo, yaar, people are new. You talk about Y, they'll go to Z. Impossible. Impossible. Now, with the fond hope that we can concentrate, focus our attention, we have started Thursday class. Let's see what happens after that. As of now, of course, it's chaos because everybody is new and the numbers are too much. I mean, not too much, nice that there are so many numbers, but amazing, huh? Amazing that people are actually taking interest. So that's a big step forward. But we have to discipline ourselves. We just have to do it. So I hope this topic is clear. What did he tell us? That Vedanta will give us the aggressive goodness that he spoke about. And when you have that aggressive goodness, you will not be a cause of agitation to anyone, and nobody can agitate you. You will not cause a problem in society, and nobody can cause a problem in your presence. This is aggressive goodness. Okay. But now, don't want to do all this stuff. Now, why don't I want to do all this stuff? Because I think, no, Baba, this is all difficult stuff. This is for some great people somewhere. For some brilliant people somewhere. ये हमारे बस की बात नहीं है. We are bhaktas. We are karma yogi. Some story we'll come up with. This is not true. This is absolutely not true. It is an art, it's a skill, it's a technique. We have to learn it just like we learn any other. And if we do learn it, then we'll get the benefit. What is the benefit we get out of it?
Going closer to God. Closer to God.
First benefit, Huh?
Joy.
Increasing joy every day.
Yeah, you'll have joy every day out of it. Every day you'll have joy out of it. Every day it will be enchanting. Every day it will be like a new present opening up. It's like, wow, how did I miss this? And every time you say, oh my God, I didn't see this before. What was I doing? Am I dumb or something? I was so delighted to learn something new from exactly the same paragraph that you have read a million times before. It's an enchanting experience day after day. So you do it between 4 and 6 in the morning. If you're finding it all impossible, okay, come as close to 4 to 6 as possible. Come as close to it as possible. But then study it like you study any science. Don't study it like, oh my God, it's so beautiful, it's so beautiful. Don't do all that stuff. Study it as a science. Study it as if it's mathematics. You are not here to believe anybody. You're not here to follow anybody. You're just got to figure out whether what you're reading is correct or incorrect. Is it right or is it wrong? if you have concluded that this is right, then your next step is, if I think it is so right, why am I not doing it? Oh, he's not doing it, she's not doing it. Hello, I don't understand you. You won't go for a walk because somebody else is not going for a walk. You won't take care of your health because somebody else is not taking care of their health. What is the logic of this statement? I don't understand it. So if you think that this is correct, then your next thing is, if I think it is so correct, why am I not doing it? And as you try and unfold why you yourself are not doing it, you will begin to understand. You'll begin to really understand the knowledge. It will unfold itself to you. Otherwise, you will go on with a jhanda. Everybody should be unselfish. Everybody should use their intellect. Anybody who says everybody should use their intellect, firstly, is not using their own. Nonsense. You should see, the mess these people go and do in their homes after studying Vedanta, or anyway, after understanding whatever they understand out of Vedanta. Mess they create. Spouses of people, literally, I'm not joking, spouses of people who study Vedanta come to me of all the people in the world, and grumble that please put some sense into my husband or into my wife. This Vedanta has ruined them. Then how do you expect me to put sense is not very clear. But because all I do is Vedanta. But they approach me. I mean, how many people over the last 30 years have approached me are telling me that how stupidly their spouses behave. And unfortunately, I agree with them. Yes, I say your spouse is behaving very badly. Then why don't you tell that person that? I tell it every day in class. What else am I supposed to say? Because why does this happen? Can you tell me?
We're not digesting the knowledge.
Yeah, there's no reflection. There is no understanding. There is all these words. We love to take something from Vedanta and then we'll go out and tell everybody. You do it no first. You don't talk. You do it. It's very tough. It's very, very tough to get it. And you've got it only if you are happy in your own heart. And everybody around you is also happy. Because some brilliant fellows say, oh, these people are all mad. I am happy, so it's okay. No, it's not. If you're so happy, why is everybody around you not happy? What nonsense are you doing that people around you are not happy? Why is it like that? That I am happy, okay? So all is okay. No, it's not. Be that person in your society, in your family, in your organization. Who is the beacon for everybody? That everybody looks up to you. Everybody thinks, yes, this is a person worth being like. And you don't become that person by sitting on some high chair and saying, oh, I'm so great. You become that person by simple things. Acknowledging what people have done for you. Apologizing when you're wrong. What they taught us as children. It's no big deal. Just learn 3 things. Please, thank you, sorry. If you just knew these 3 things in life, you'd get along with almost anybody. Please, I need something from you. Can you help me? Humble yourself. I've received something from you. Thank you very much. And sorry if I have, not if I have, sorry I have made this mistake. What's so tough? And when you do this, you've hardly entered Vedanta. So, in the Upanishads, it's very, very nice. They say thus. They begin the Upanishad with the word thus, then. How can you begin with saying thus or then? Doesn't make sense, right? Meaning what? You've already figured out all these things before you go into some higher reaches of Vedanta. You've already figured out how to deal with people. You already figured out how to make money. You are making money. You are dealing with people. Your health is fine. Everything is okay. You figured it all out in your head. You're able to execute all of that. Now, you're ready for the higher reaches of knowledge. Then, no, I want the higher reaches of knowledge. Okay, then go back and fix that. Don't give me this nonsense about my marriage doesn't work, but I'm a Vedantan. Get real, buddy. Don't give me this nonsense about, oh, I'm too good and everybody treats me badly. Go jump. If you really were doing good, nobody's going to treat you badly. So, reflection, study, think. If I believe in it so much, why can't I do it? What's the problem? What is the problem I'm facing? Discuss it with your colleagues. Discuss it with your family. Discuss it with people who don't agree with Vedanta, because they probably know something you don't know. Remember, every human being has something to teach us. Every human being. But sometimes we sit on our high horse and say, I'm Vedanta. You are Bhakta or Karma or I don't know, any name you want to give them. You're materialistic. Nonsense. Each one will get one whack when I meet you next, if I hear from your spouses. Now don't bully your spouses into saying don't go speak to her. So as we think about it, think why we are not able to do it. We become so charitable towards it. So charitable. You understand the difficulties that a human being faces. You and I and all of us are human beings. We all have our desires. We all have our issues. We all have difficulties that we are facing. We all are struggling with it. And if you understand your own, you immediately become kind and charitable to others. You find the qualities of development coming to you. You need to go back and think and think and think again. Best if you do it early morning. If you cannot do it early morning, then do it as close to early morning as you can. Early morning means 4 to 6. Can't do it, and then as close to it as possible with the intent eventually of coming into the 4 to 6 bracket. If you're studying for 1 hour, then 5 to 6 also works. Don't study, however, for more than 1.5 hours at a time. Okay, so be careful about that. Do not study for more than 1.5 hours at a time. This is very subtle knowledge, and it doesn't work to study it too much. And when you do this regulated, when you do it systematic, when you do it with a goal in mind, not just, oh, itna acha hai, aap kitna acha bolte hain, itna acha bolte hain, aao mere samne, I will just show you. You do it systematic, you do it regulated, you do it objectively, like a science. And this will help us develop and proceed towards spiritual growth, towards enlightenment. So you are happy now, you will get ultimate happiness. Par kaam karo. Okay, so this was the topic. Let us do a quick run through of the chapters, a quick summary of the chapter. The chapter we started was Light of Wisdom. I hope you have noticed what we have done. We did how to work with our bodies, meaning how to do right action. Then we studied about emotion, how to deal with our emotions properly. And this chapter we learned about knowledge. So what is that knowledge telling us? That there is one reality. When we do not know this reality, when we do not understand the truth, we bump into things. We get the knocks and shocks of life. We say, oh my God, my wife is not good, my husband is not good, my children are not good, my finances are not good, my health is not good. Some story or the other we cook up for ourselves. Basically, it just means we have ignorance of the self. We are in darkness. So we are bumping into things. So let's put on the light. In the ultimate sense, putting on the light means getting knowledge of the self. But in the relative sense, because we are not getting enlightenment so far, so in the relative sense, it's just understanding the facts of life. The more facts you get, the more obvious everything becomes. Like, people always come and tell me, that person is such a hot-tempered, horrible person. He's always shouting. He's always shouting. I told him. That is something I told him. And then he shouted at me. Well, if he's a hot-tempered person, what else will he do, right? I mean, when in your first sentence was, he is a hot-tempered person. So why do you even need to say the rest? He's a hot-tempered person. It means that's what he does. He gets angry. Isn't it? How many people tell me, oh, he's so stubborn. That day I tried to convince him so much, but he didn't listen to me. Why do you need the second sentence? You said, no, he's so stubborn. Why do you need the second sentence? Why are you telling me a story? Don't I get it when I hear it the first time? You told me he's stubborn. Crazy, no? You can't fix the fact. I am dealing with a stubborn person, or I am dealing with a lazy person, or I am dealing with a hot-tempered person. Fix the fact. And once you fix the fact, don't go and say, oh, it's a fact, it's a fact. It is a fact now. Deal with it. Grow up. What were you expecting? A spouse without any faults? Thank God for the faults your spouse has. Because had that person not had those faults, they would have found a better partner. Isn't it? This great, perfect person, why, if I do find him, why will he marry me? He will go and find himself an equally perfect person. So this person who's married me has married me because Pichara, he had those faults, he knew it. Mujhe itna hi acha milega, itna mil gaya. Isn't it? So thank God for your spouse's faults. Otherwise, they would have got a better partner. So get the facts. In the ultimate sense, it is the knowledge of the self. In the relative sense, it is just understanding facts of life. And that's the whole process of knowledge. Those who understand more facts have more knowledge. And those who understand fewer facts have less knowledge. So knowledge is actually just a ladder that we keep climbing. The higher portions become higher knowledge. The lower portions become lower knowledge. So it's all relative. What are you comparing it to? We studied, remember, even in terms of higher values. A person speaks very rudely to somebody. A person speaks very rudely to somebody. So is this higher knowledge that this person has? Yes or no?
No.
Why, Marge, do you think no?
Because he's aware. He won't.
I didn't tell you whether he was aware or not. That was not part of the question. The question was, a person speaks rudely. Does he have higher knowledge? He speaks very rudely.
That's the best he knows.
So your answer is no. Now think about, why do you say no? The answer is no. It's not rude. It's not good. It's not higher. It's lower. Because you're comparing it to something. You're comparing it to a person who does not speak rudely. Right? You're comparing it to a more sophisticated person. So therefore you say this fellow is rude. But if you compare it to a murderer, then okay, the rude fellow is better than the murderer. The murderer is going about killing people. This fellow is only being rude to them. So is something higher or lower depends on where
we are.
He has the knowledge.
Where you are looking at it from. What is your point of comparison? Okay, is there light in this room or not is a matter of
Perception. No, of fact. Sorry.
Comparison.
Whether you're in a dark room or a room with light.
not dark room, whether you are Outside is dark or sunlight? If outside there is sunlight, then compared to that, this is dark. But outside it is night time, then this will become light. A bulb gives you light only at night, right? The same bulb during the daytime, you don't even know whether it's on or off. So, is something light or dark depends on your point of comparison. Is a rung on the ladder a higher rung or a lower rung depends on
Where we are standing.
where you're looking at it from. Yeah. So if you're looking at it from here, then this will become lower. But if you're looking at it from here, then that same point becomes higher. Right? So it all depends from where you're looking at it. Knowledge is just like that. It's relative. Higher or lower compared to where you're looking at it from. So gaining more knowledge for every one of us means taking one step forward. It doesn't matter where we are. Just take one step forward until you understand that I am the self. And then there is no pain, no agitation at all. And you go hunting for this thing all over the place instead of recognizing that it is very much within.
Janki-ji,
Hmm.
how does one know if one has taken the one step ahead?
Why, Bharat? You know the answer to that. Don't ask that question. Just don't ask that question. The more I focus upon myself, the less forward I have gone. So when I'm asking, have I grown? Answer is no. Because still my focus is on myself. The focus should be entirely on what I am doing and never on where I have got. I look at where I have got, just give it a glance every now and then, maybe once a year or twice a year, to know that things are better than before. And that's it, move on, just a glance. So if they are better, you'll know everything will be better. You will feel better, things around you will be better, everything will be better. We don't bother about it. We bother about, am I every day doing what I need to do? And am I upping that slowly, improving how I'm doing it? Okay, like let's say I get up at 7 o'clock and study. So am I making some attempt to make it at least 6:45? How much is my struggle on? Or have I given up? Have I said, oh, mujhse to hota hi nahi hai? Have I given up? Is my struggle on? Am I doing what it takes? Those are the important questions. What is it that I need to do is the important question, not what I got. Strive to struggle and not to succeed should be our motto in life. To strive, to struggle, and not to succeed. So when you're no longer even concerned with whether you're succeeding or not, shows a sign of growth. You keep an eye on it in the sense of, just that you're on the right track. That's all you want to know. All you want to know is what action am I supposed to take? And just a glance. And don't have to take that glance every day. Also, abhi aaj kya hua? Kuch nahi hua. Chodo. Okay, so let me see now that I stopped for questions. Looks like there are some things written here. Manoj. Reflection to study ratio was told as 80-20. Some suggestions for ways to reflect so long will help, else mind feels like going to the next para pages out of curiosity. Okay, so these are the kind of questions that show effort, right? Because a person is struggling. Now, if you take this ratio 20 to 80%, 20% hearing or listening and 80% thinking, it will be almost impossible to maintain that because it's a very, very high thing. So all that we need to learn from it is keep increasing the time we spend on reflection rather than increasing the length of study. You know, we need explanation of every point because we don't reflect on our own. We don't, I mean, like, Vedanta Treatise has got everything. Why do you even run a class on it? Often I have thought that, you're like, what? Why run a class? He's explained it. And yet we've been running classes on it for 30 years, 30 odd years. We means all alumni have been running it for 30 odd years. These classes are going on, explaining the book. But what's there to explain in it? It is simple, just open it and read it. Then what is the need for explanation? Why does anyone need to go to a class for it? What's the need?
Because we have our own understanding, which may not be correct. That is it.
Because it's difficult for us to take in knowledge and difficult for us to think about knowledge. So you take borrowed reflection, as it were, and say, oh, I understand it now. Actually, I had that problem with how do you know what you know? It was written as a reference book. It was written as a book that people read this book, figure this thing out, and then be able to study Vedanta, no problem. I noticed nobody read the book at all. I doubt whether 10 people have read that book with all the great enthusiasm that people took it up, and I doubt whether 10 people read that book. I don't know. I have no idea how many read it. And feel like you need explanation. But that book is so explanatory. I cannot tell you. When you read it and you say, okay, let me speak something on it, I'm like, oh, like am I just sounding like I'm repeating? What happened here? Oh, sorry. This seems to have somehow gone away. Just give me a second. What do you think I should do? Should I bother with this thing now? Or let it be. Okay. Instagram has closed it. For whatever reason, it did that. It's okay, no, I need not start it again. I'll have to close all this. Okay, so where were we? So when you start reflecting upon things, you need less and less of that information given. Okay, like when people tell me, he's such a stubborn person. He won't listen to anything. Though I told him so many times, he just won't listen. Please notice that the moment you said the word stubborn, none of the rest of the words needed to be said at all. But the person who's telling you that he is stubborn has not understood it himself. Interesting. That means, are you even thinking about what you're saying? You yourself are saying, forget somebody else saying. Manoj, are you listening? It's an answer to your question. Yes, okay. So
Yes, madam. Yeah. So the answer was like I have to reduce the time for reflection. I should not expect at the start 80% reflection. I should make it say 40%, 30% time.
As much as you can go, because then you will require less and less explanation because you understood the point.
Right. Thank you.
Greater the reflection, the less need for explanation. So please reflect. Then you'll understand it. You'll get it the first time. It is so difficult, Nobody gets it the first time. We're told over and over again. In our family, and the Parsi family, they're very rude about it. If you ask anyone to tell it to you again, they'll say, what didn't you get the first time? That's why I don't think any of them can ever become teachers, because the teacher's full-time job is repetition. Repeat, 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 repeat. And if you repeat in the same words, they'll say, oh, I know this. I heard it before. Mera sir nahi khao, please. Okay, so Jyoti, I think
Janmati, this is regarding the question he has asked.
Okay, go ahead, Shilpa.
Once you had suggested that you read the paragraph and summarize it,
Mhm.
and that way you learn. So, will that help? I mean,
Yes.
should I do like that? We are doing. I'm doing that only. That reading the paragraph and making it the summary of it. So
Yes. So that you get the point once and for
Yes.
all.
Yes.
And
yes.
also, once when you feel okay, I've got it in terms of the paragraph, try and make it as brief as possible. Try and bring the paragraph to 1 word, 2 words, 5 words, as few as you can manage. And then do that for the topic.
Right.
Summarize the topic. So you've got the point he's trying to make. And then give yourself maybe 2 examples or anything to say, okay, I think I got the point. So you're not getting involved in the words of it all. You can be told those in a million ways, but you understood what the point was.
Thank you.
Jyoti, I think the most common mistake we make is when we learn something, we want to apply it to everyone around us and analyze them, but we won't analyze ourselves. So we should focus on transforming ourselves. Then everyone around us will automatically change. Yes, correct. You should focus on transforming ourselves, but don't assume everybody around you will change. You will know how to deal with the people around you. You can't say that. You can't blame other people's faults on yourself. They have their faults and you have your faults. So you don't take attribution for other people's faults, and you don't give other people attribution for your own faults. You are you, they are they have their virtues and their weaknesses, and I also have my virtues and my weaknesses. If I deal with my weaknesses, I will irritate them less. That will of course happen, and therefore they will behave slightly better with me, but their faults are going to continue. Their faults won't go because something I did. This is a big thing to understand. What are my faults and what are your faults? What are my virtues and what are your virtues? Just understand it as a matter of fact. Okay, so somebody else had anything to ask before we continue with the summary? Had anyone else said anything? Okay, so chale. So we were doing knowledge is relative. That means compared to the lower, it is the higher. Compared to the higher, it is the lower, just like the rungs of a ladder. A person Can you hear me? Yes?
Now we
Yes.
Oh,
Now
Janki
we
ji
can
got
hear you.
stuck. Yeah, now we can hear you.
Now
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah. All right. So knowledge is relative. A rude person is considered to be good or bad based on what you're comparing him to. A rude person is very bad compared to a more sophisticated, more cultured, more well-spoken person, but is very good compared to a person who goes around killing people, right? So whether something is good or bad is always based on what are you comparing it to. So this is something for us to think about, because just think about it. You call your wife a bad person, or your husband, you say he's so horrible. But what are you comparing it to? I mean, is he really as horrible as you claim he is? So it's a good thing to sort of take cognizance of that fact. Okay. So and then
I have a question.
Yeah, Omkar.
In reference to the joy of learning, we said that it keeps giving us more and more joy. Somewhere I have read, and please don't ask me to quote it right now, I can't get it. But I have read that true knowledge is that which makes you more and more uncomfortable, because it shows that how wrong you have been thinking, doing, etc. Do you see any commonality between the two?
I see that you are not concentrating on what we are doing. That's what I see. What
That's
are we
correct.
doing currently? Omkar, you cannot do that because you know you will definitely get fired. I am going to be charitable to new people. I let them see. Everybody in the class is like, oh, don't let them ask questions. They are like, why? They're interrupting everything. Everybody is saying, don't, no, 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 no. Everybody, every day I get some mails, some messages telling me, you are letting people ask questions. They are breaking the line of thought. They are. I am letting them ask questions because they are new. And for new people, we have to be charitable and know that they haven't even learned about self-discipline. But for old people, don't expect that. You will get into trouble if you ask any such questions. Remember, this is all relative. Who gets treated how? You know, when we were in the ashram, Swamiji used to, like, I don't know what, fire us in such a way that we all burst into tears. Then we used to console ourselves. And we used to tell ourselves, okay, the boys used to say that, okay, fine. If you got a really good firing from Swamiji, that means he must be thinking you're capable of it. You're capable of better. If you get nice, oh, nice, he speaks to you, that means you're not capable of doing any better, so you're doing the best you can. So if we got fired, maybe that's like a compliment. So we used to console ourselves. Now soon you will also have to start consoling yourself. You cannot ask a question about some other topic in the middle of this one. Not for people who've been in the class long enough or have been in association long enough. Can't do that. When that topic comes again, now we will deal with it, or you do it when as a general question. So I'm not even, so you did find out that yes, you'd probably get fired if you are quoted something without telling us where that quote is from. Correct, you will, but also because you're out of context. So come back. Knowledge is relative. And it is that knowledge which is actually the essence of civilization, that we grow up as human beings. You know, you can't put everything into rules. You can't write everything down ki aisa karna chahiye, waisa karna chahiye. It is each person's character at the end of the day that makes for us to be civilized human beings, capable of being something worth called a human being. Okay, so it's not about following rules. It's about growing up to know that at this time, what is the right thing to be done. And instead of concentrating on getting that, we do all sorts of other things. So therefore, the question is always how to become those people. And the first step of it we have studied is the recognition of our own ignorance. It's our first step. We don't think of ourselves as ignorant. We think of ourselves as knowledgeable. Then what hope is there for learning anything? So that's why Josh Billings said, the trouble with most folks is not so much their ignorance, but their knowing so many things which ain't so. Why are we getting into fights with people? Because I am right and you are wrong. That is why, no? Otherwise, what's the fight about? Whenever somebody says something that I disagree with, do I stop and ask the question? I'm not clear why you're disagreeing. Why are you disagreeing? No, we'll start defending our point of view. Have they asked you what is your reasoning that you're giving it? You are not asking them. It's a very, very nice thing. You know why people shout at each other? They have to shout so much because neither is listening. They're hoping that by increasing their voice, the other person will listen. It will not happen because they're both shouting. If you want somebody to listen to you, lower your voice, not raise it. Because then he has to struggle to listen. Simple psychological trick. So, our problem is we believe we know. Even though we are messing up big time, we believe we know. And the more we are messing up, the more we believe we know. And that's why the biggest question of life is, how do you know what you know? The biggest question, if ever we get it. So some of us understand, okay, I'm ignorant, I don't know. So we go out in pursuit of knowledge. Go out in pursuit of knowledge means, oh, ye bhi padho, wo bhi padho, ye bhi karo, wo bhi karo. Sab karte hain. You won't get knowledge like that, because knowledge has to be done systematically, scientifically, step by step. Take a little bit, think about it a little bit, then take some more, think about it. We are so random. Kabhi ye class kiya, kabhi wo class kiya. We have no goal in the class. We have no understanding of the greatness of what we have undertaken. Uh, we don't put in the requisite effort that we are supposed to put on our own. But still we are good compared to those who will not even listen. Still we are good. At least you are listening regularly, which itself is a step forward. But you have to take that step further forward, right? So the basic concept of education is lost. It's all about cramming. Academics has come to mean only how many references can you give. That's academic education. That's how bad it is today. And when we try to tell them of the real education, they say, no, 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 this is not academics. No, this is academics. What you're doing is the wrong one. Who's to say anything? So, what has happened over a period of time is, because now we are ancient civilization, right? So many human beings have come, so many people have attained wisdom, so much has happened. And so, over a period of time, so much has got written. Now, we don't need to study it all. All we need to do is figure out what we need to study and study it concentratedly. Because the great masters have said many great things, but they may have been applicable to those people at that time, may or may not be applicable to us today. You've got to figure all this out. Gayatri, how much of empathy interplays to build harmonious relationships? Gayatri, you have been here long enough to be fired. Chintan, your video is on and you're talking to somebody else. Firstly, don't talk to anybody else or whatever else it is you're doing. Or alternatively, don't switch the video on like everybody else is. I can't see. I can see what Manoj is doing. I can see what Shilpa is doing. I have no idea what the rest of you are doing. Put on the video only if you want to concentrate in class. All you do in class is listen and write. That's it. And question. Relevant.
Okay, ma'am.
And Gayatri, the question is totally irrelevant. Do you even know what is the point we are studying? What is the point we are studying, Gayatri?
Ma'am, we were discussing about, since you were talking about relationships and, how we misunderstand sometimes our spouses.
No, I am not talking about that at all. That was just an example for a point. What was the point for which that was an example?
That was with contemplation and reflection of what we are studying, so that we bring a change within ourselves. No, I have.
Yeah. Focus on the line of thought. In this topic, which we are currently doing, we're talking about how to gain wisdom. Step number 1, know that you're ignorant.
Okay.
That's step number 1. We don't know we are ignorant. We don't know we are ignorant. Therefore, we are willing to fight with other people because we are going to tell you I'm going to tell you what is right because I don't think I'm ignorant. Correct? So we're not discussing relationships. That is an example given to demonstrate how ignorant, how we are not in awareness of our own ignorance. So if your mind goes to other things, there is no way you're going to learn. Right? Please focus everybody on the point. Okay, now in the other class, if a single person now grumbles about people asking questions, you make sure you are not asking silly questions. Time to tighten the screws now a bit. Everybody's been here long enough now. Okay, next time it's going to be, how many people are we today? Next 60, right? So next time 30 people are going to be here. Life is going to become difficult from now on. So we are ignorant, number 1. We don't know it, number 2. Number 3, those who know it, do what? Do what? Come on now. You're summarizing my summary. Itna to karo.
They don't do any reflection.
They go on cramming knowledge. They take on more and more information instead of stopping, taking a little bit of information and figuring out what it's saying. Because it's like there are the 7 oceans, but you drop the plumb line in any one spot, you reach the bottom. But we're not dropping the plumb line anywhere. And we're just sort of scouring the seas. There's a Latin saying that says, they change their skies and not their minds, those who scour the seas. They go all across the sea, they change the sky. That means they change the view. But they don't change their minds. Means they stay as ignorant as they were originally. They change their skies and not their minds, those who scour the seas. So, therefore, contemplate. What is contemplate? Buddha told us, do not believe what you have heard. Do not believe in tradition. Do not believe in repetition. Do not believe in conjecture. Do not believe in old sages. Do not believe in authority, teachers, elders. But after careful analysis and observation, if it agrees with reason and if it is beneficial to everybody, then alone should you take it and live by it. And he gave us the beautiful example of the curd. And then slowly told us, as you grow up, you become an aggressively good person. Who is an aggressively good person? One who does good to himself and is capable of doing good to everybody else as well. You become the Krishna for the people around you. You're able to handle the problems instead of crying over the problems or getting angry over the problems or saying God is not helping me or the government is not helping me. Just deal with it. Yeah, grow up. Whatever your problem is, just deal with it. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. Don't say, oh, I'm okay. Even though everything around me is a mess, don't do all this pretense. Deal with whatever's happening. And when you start getting that real learning, then comes the joy of learning. Every day, in every way, we just feel better and better, inspired. But we don't take it up because there's an initial effort involved. But if we do take it up, not only is every moment of it joyful, but also it leads us eventually to human perfection, to spiritual growth. Now, what is this human perfection? What is that spiritual growth? What is it to be a great human being? What is an enlightened person like? I mean, like, what are we going towards? That is naturally the question that you would ask, and that is the question that we will be doing in the next chapter of this book, which is called The Culmination of Human Life. What is that highest point? Okay, so we'll continue next time.